Hello, friends. Thank you for joining us today. As you know, it's nomination season for Canada's Most Powerful Women Top 100. And to show you just how powerful a single nomination can be, I've invited a very special guest with us here today, Meghan Roach. Meghan is the president and the CEO of Roots Corporation. As you all know, Roots is the beloved legacy brand of many Canadians at home and abroad. Welcome, Meghan.
Thank you for having me, Sherry.
It's lovely to have you here. Meghan is a 2023 Canada's Most Powerful Women Top 100 in the CEO category, presented by Post Media. So I have a question for you first before we start.
hmm
Our theme this year for the Top 100 is Rise Boldly. So can you tell me how you've done this in your life?
Well, I think the thing about my career is it wasn't a straight line. And so at every turn, I had to take a decision to take a risk and to do something different that was very outside of my comfort zone. And so I think that focusing on taking that risk, being confident in myself, being boldly going almost where I want to say no woman has gone before to steal from another thing, was something that was really important to me and was something that really drove my career. And so I think taking that first bold step is kind of what it means to me. Going into the unknown, taking the opportunity when you don't necessarily know what the outcome is going to be, has been something that has been really a theme of my career and something that propelled me along.
Love it. So it's taking the risk, going into the unknown, getting out of your comfort zone.
Absolutely.
Yeah, love it. That's I've spoken to a few other top 100 this week, and that seems to be a common theme for
I
them
can
as
imagine.
well. So, okay, I'm ready to ask you your questions here. You ready?
Sounds great.
Okay. So, question number one, when you look at your top 100 award today, what does it represent to you?
It's funny. For me, it was one of those things where it's kind of the culmination of a lot of hard work over a number of years. So it was kind of the pinnacle of being recognized for everything that you've done and sometimes done behind the scenes. And so for me, the idea of being able to not only be a top 100, but to share that top 100 with all the other recipients who are also very accomplished individuals who have worked really hard to get to where they are today. For me, it was a little bit of sense of validation that the work that I had been putting in really was coming to something and that other people were starting to recognize that work. And so for me, it was a great accomplishment. It felt wonderful to be able to have it, but also wonderful to be able to celebrate it with everyone else who was there at the dinner.
Yeah, exactly. Celebrations is important and the validation of all the hard work.
Absolutely.
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 So, for you, what does it mean to be part of this powerful top 100 community of leaders?
It's interesting because I think what it is it's almost an instant friendship. I actually was at a dinner earlier this week with someone, and we kind of looked at each other and said, "Oh, we know each other." And we were trying to figure out where it was. We said, "Oh, you know what? We got the top 100 together. That was what it was." And there's a little bit of that instant acknowledgement of saying, "Wow, you've also worked really hard to get where you are today, and you've also been in these situations before." So it's nice to be part of a community of other individuals at all different levels and organizations, but are all striving towards kind of one common goal. And I think that's about, empowering women. It's about being unafraid to celebrate our leadership. It's being unafraid to celebrate the great community in which we all work and live. And so from that perspective, it's been just a really nice experience of just finding like-minded individuals and a group of great people to celebrate these kind of accomplishments together.
Wonderful, kind of like a sorority.
Yeah, very much, very much.
Yeah, what I love about our community is it's executive leaders, it's emerging leaders, it's skilled trades. Like it's
Yes,
this
yes,
beautiful, diverse
yes.
of just different women coming to the table and within our circle. I love it because we learn
Yeah,
so much from each other, right? Like
you
I'm an
do.
entrepreneur, but I'm
Yes,
learning more from even a woman in STEM or a woman in skilled trades. Like
yes.
it's a
I
nice.
was sitting beside the event. I was sitting beside the lunch an individual who was at the beginning of her career in the startup space. To your point, was on the STEM side of things, and it was had started her own business. And I was sitting there thinking, wow, this individual has accomplished so much in such a short period of time.
Exactly.
And they were having a conversation with us because the other CEO leaders were sitting at the table and talking to us about like, well, what did you do in your career? And it felt really rewarding to have those conversations because it felt invigorating to have that conversation with someone at the early stage to
Mhm.
remember what it was like to be so passionate about going after those things and how much hard work and effort it takes to do that. And
Yeah.
then at the other side of it, it was nice to be able to provide that mentorship and that piece of, well, here's how I got here, and it's going to be okay, and these types of things. So it was a really nice experience to have people of all different levels, and many of us have gotten together afterwards and connected after the fact too, which is really nice also.
Yeah, it's inspiring. It
Absolutely.
because I think you get so much into your work. and
Yes.
you forget to kind of raise your head and say, oh, look, you know what I've done. Because women
Yes.
don't do that. We typically don't do that, right? So it's
Yes.
nice to
I
have
think
those
for
women
sure.
around us that inspire us and motivate us to
Yeah.
remember what it
Yes.
took to get to where we are.
Absolutely. That's exactly
Wonderful.
right.
Okay, the last question.
Wonderful.
You ready?
Great.
So what's one piece of advice that you'd give someone considering a nomination for the top 100? What's one piece of
It's
advice you'd give
absolutely
them?
worth the effort and time. So I think not the application process itself is it's challenging, right? There's lots of things you have to do, but I think the thing is it makes you focus on the places that you've contributed. And so for me, like having the conversations with my board members or the charities I was part with, or the people who provided my nominations and reference letters for me, and really thinking about the things that I had contributed was to a certain extent almost cathartic. Like it really was one of those pieces of time where I kind of spent a lot of time thinking about like, well, how did I get here? And where am I going next? And why is it that I want to kind of celebrate this thing? So it's worth the time and effort, if only for really spending time like reflecting on what you've done to date and where you want to go. So that to me was great. And I think also then, if you get the nomination and you're part of the top 100, as we've talked about before, it's a wonderful group of people to be with. The recognition that you get, outside of just the event itself is really significant. Many, many people obviously reach out to you. It does expand your networks in a lot of places you don't expect or understand, before you get it. And so it's really worth the time and effort to do the application process. And the outside of it's rewarding.
Wonderful. And you're absolutely right. It is a lot of work and it is challenging at times to get all that information together, but it is well worth it. I mean, I'm an award winner as well, and
Hmm.
from way back in the day.
Not that far. Not
But
that
then I
far
bought
back.
the company, so I think I'm like the ultimate award winner.
Yes, absolutely. That's what you get to see and celebrate people year after year. And it must be incredibly rewarding to
It
see the
is.
different faces and see how
Yeah,
excited people are, and also see the different places across the country that people are contributing to developing the society in which we live today, which is really
it
nice.
is. It's completely inspiring, and even seeing women that have been on the stage but are on the stage again, right? Like,
Yes,
and they become
yes,
friends.
yes,
Like it's just
yes.
it's a yeah. And so I have one more question
Hmm.
with regards to this question I just asked you, but you're a CEO, but what if somebody is out there and saying, I'm not a CEO.
Hmm.
I'm an emerging leader, or I'm like, I don't
Yes.
know if I'm qualified. I don't know if I want to take that risk or that chance. I don't know if I'm
Hmm.
good enough.
Well, I think you never know until you try. I think that's the first thing, right? And I think that we all are at various stages of our career. And so when I'm going into a category focused on CEOs, obviously then there's other CEOs you're looking at and thinking about in that category. But those emerging leaders need to understand that it's the same. Like there's other emerging leaders you're looking at, but that doesn't mean that they're not good enough relative to an emerging leader, right? Everyone has really interesting accomplishments. And until you sit down and think about what those are, put those down on paper and look at your life to date, you don't really sometimes realize how much you've actually accomplished. So it's definitely worth doing. It's definitely worth trying. It's definitely worth putting yourself out there because I think even when I was younger in my career, I don't think I thought I had accomplished as much as I did. And then as I started to look back, I was like, oh yeah, remember I did this and I did this and I did this. And so you start to think about those things because a lot of times we just live in the moment. We don't necessarily really spend that time to reflect on our accomplishments. And this is a great opportunity to do that. And if you get to the top 100, as you mentioned earlier, Sherry, you have an opportunity then to meet people from all different executive levels and other places. And so it's definitely a very interesting and rewarding experience. And I would encourage people to put themselves forward, even if they don't necessarily think they're there yet. It's also a good learning experience because if you don't get it this year, it doesn't mean you won't in the future. And so there's no harm in trying.
Exactly. Great advice. Yep. Thank you so much for that. And
Of
thank you for
course.
being here with us today. I really appreciate it. I know you're a busy woman. So
Thank you.
thank
I
you.
appreciate you taking the time also.
And if anyone out there knows a CEO superstar like Megan, please nominate her today. And for more information, please visit wxnetwork.com. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you.